Season is over now. Prime is Houston with an outstanding regular season, man. One loss on the year. Outstanding to finish up the season the way they closed out the regular season. We'll take a look at the draft center right now. We look at our draft board. They got right end center and right outside linebackers. You're looking at Savell Smalls, Derek McClendon, both Colorado players that was coached by Deion Sanders. Xavier Thomas from Clemson is the number 3. So our top DNs, right DNs, are Savell Smalls, Derek McClendon, and Xavier Thomas. You're looking at center Van Wells, man. Van Wells, Bam Bam is the baller right now. Demetrius Hunter and then Bennett Pitcher. We got 3 very different but outstanding right outside linebackers: and Harold Perkins, Jeremiah Alexander from Alabama, and Abdul Carter from Penn State. All 3 of those guys bring a different type of swag to the outside linebacker position, and with Harold being able to play in or out, off ball linebacker or on ball linebacker. When you look at the playoff bracket, we'll get to that right now and see what happened in the playoffs. Who made it right now? All right, so what happened in the AFC was the Dolphins moved into the 2nd seed, dropping the Raiders to the 3rd seed. But AFC South is representing with 2 teams in the playoffs. And you're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs are the 7th seed. The Colts remain 6th. That's a young, good football team over there. And you also got the New England Patriots going up against the Baltimore Ravens. So Lamar's on the NFC side for the Seahawks with the number 1 seed, and DJ Ugalele, the guy that replaced Lamar Jackson, has his team as the 4th seed and win the AFC North. So as of right now, the Ravens are comfortable with their decision making, I guess, because they're in the playoffs. When you think about the Ravens franchise, man, they always been that type of franchise, though, right? Defense and heavy run. But the Las Vegas Raiders are a surprise team sitting here at 3, along with the Indianapolis Colts. So you got the Dolphins and Chiefs going to match up in the wild card round. Raiders against the Colts and Ravens and the Patriots. On the NFC side of things, Seahawks got the number 1 seed. They did well all year. Saints and young Khalid Williams. We got some young rookie quarterbacks running around. A lot of first year and rookie quarterbacks are playoff bound this season, taking over the NFL. Khalid Williams got the Saints the number 2 seed. The Panthers sitting at 7. The Lions are 3rd seed going up against this number 6 Falcons. We got C.J. Stroud, the league's MVP, sitting in the 6th seed. The Giants and Justin Herbert are in the 4th seed going up against the Los Angeles Rams. So 4 and 5. Detroit Lions and the Falcons, Panthers and the Saints. So you got 3 NFC South teams representing the playoffs right now, with the mighty Houston Texans and the mighty Seattle Seahawks waiting for the divisional round or who's going to meet them in the 2nd round of the playoffs. Now let's get to the individual awards and see what happened on the year. Before we go there, we start with team achievements right now. All right, let's go to team stats first. Offense, total yards, 11,236 from the Houston Texans. Bengals, Seahawks, Rams, Dolphins, Falcons. 9,284. Passing yards on the year, 7,044. Bengals, Rams, Dolphins, Falcons, Seahawks. 2,000. And they stayed at 3rd place this year with the Browns, Ravens, and Texans. Even though we played the Browns, that fullback had a really good day, so kept them in front of us. But we finished 3rd in rushing in the league. Points per game, dominant with 58 points a game. Rams with 31, Seahawks with 31. Falcons 30, Bengals 30. Passing touchdowns on the year, 72. Rams are second with 52, 43, 45 from the Seahawks. And Lamar Jackson, the Raiders have 44, 43, tied Dolphins and the Packers. Rushing touchdowns, we ran up with 40. We are number one. Ravens and Browns, top three rushing teams in the league. First downs, 445. We won that. The defensive side of things, total yards allowed. Now, total yards allowed, we're definitely in the top five versus what we've given up. Ravens are number one, Lions are number two, Panthers are number three, Seahawks are number four, Chiefs are number five, all playoff teams. Now, passing yards allowed, we're definitely going to be ranked last in the league. We're giving up 5,563 passing yards. Commanders is second. But against the run, we are the number one defense in the league versus the run, 1297. Points allowed, definitely in the top 10, I think. Yes, sir, we're in the top 10. Sacks on the year. We had 100 sacks on the year. Amazing. Closest team to us was 64 with the Chiefs, Raiders 61. Fumble recoveries. We led the league with 18, 10 more than the next team close. And INTs. If we could have had 100, we got 73 INTs on the year. Closest team to us is 19, and that's the Colts. Team stats. All right, award winners. Let's get to who's the yearly awards and who's the league MVP. And none other than Shedeur Sanders. You had three Texans finish in the top three in the race. Shedeur, Will Anderson, and Yaya Diaby, two defensive players, and Shedeur Sanders. We could have seen a defensive player win the MVP of the league. Offensive player of the year, Jimmy Horn. Look at this Texans offense. Jimmy Horn, Anthony Israel, Darnell Washington, Shedeur Sanders, and Marvin Harrison, your top five. Defensive player of the year goes to the top three Texans. Will Anderson gets that, Yaya Diaby, and Gonzalez. You could have gave it to any one of those three. They all had great years. Offensive rookie of the year goes to Jimmy Horn, Shedeur, and Marvin Harrison, your top three. Defense, Ravens, Corey Foreman wins that over DeMond Kennedy. We did have Shiloh and Galvatron on the same list with them, though, but Corey Foreman balled out. DeMond Kennedy, a dog, too. Best quarterback in the AFC, Shedeur Sanders. NFC, best quarterback was Clayton Tune. Best running back in the NFC was Jonathan Taylor, and the AFC was Anthony Israel. Best wide receiver was Jimmy Horn Jr. In the NFC, we have Cooper Kupp, the veteran. Offensive line goes to Jensen. AFC looks like a Patriot gets that. Best D-line goes to Yaya Diaby. AFC, NFC, we're looking at Will McDonald for the second year in a row. Best linebacker, Xavier Sorey. As a rookie, you had Dallas Turner and Derek Hall all made it. AFC, best outside linebacker was Will Anderson. And best DB was Christian Gonzalez. Derek Stingley, Shiloh Sanders all made this list along with Will, James Williams, Galvatron, and Eli Rickson. So the slot corner. His production went down when they found a better role for Shiloh Sanders, giving him number 3 on this list. But you have Galvatron, Eli Ricks, and Javarius Martin's role stepped up when Shiloh moved from strictly the back safety to playing slot and safety. Best kicker, we finished in 6th there. NFC, Elliott. Now let's go look at who did what when it comes down to MV. The league leaders right now. Shedeur led the league in passing yards, passing touchdowns. Finished the season with 68 completion percentage, 72 touchdowns, 442.4 yards a game, 12.6 yards a play. The run department, AI finished with 17,769, 6.7 yards per carry. He had the most carries per carries, 200 and more, 6.7. He led the league in rushing touchdowns, breaking LaDainian Tomlinson's rushing touchdown average. He averaged 104.1 yards a game, though he fumbled the ball 5 times this year. In the receiving department, nobody caught the ball more than Cooper Kupp, 121. But when it comes down to receiving yards, Kupp hit the 2,000-yard mark. Tight end D. Washington was only a few yards away from 2,000 yards with 1962. Marvin Harrison had 1893. Jimmy Horn with 1892. They went crazy. Jimmy Horn finished the league with the most receiving touchdowns with 28. Cooper Kupp with 26. Devontae Adams and Kristen Kirk, 19 and 18, and then 17 from DW, 16, 15 from Marvin Harrison. On the defensive side of things, we got Jack Campbell, most tackles in the league. Tackle for losses, you're looking at AFC, looking at 63 from Yaya Diaby and 63 from Will Anderson. They tied for 1 and 2. When it comes down to sacks, Will Anderson had 45 and a half. He broke the sack record in one season. Yaya broke it as well, but finished 3 behind him. And then in the INT department, Christian Gonzalez with 21 INTs, Derek Stingley with 16, Shiloh with 7, Eli Ricks with 7, James with 6, Kennedy had 5, Martin had 5 as well. Deflections, 11 from Gonzalez, 10 from Stingley. Forced fumbles on the year, 6 from Yaya Diaby. Will Anderson had forced 5. And more Kennedy forced 3. And touchdowns, 4 from Demoy Kennedy. Christian Gonzalez ran 4 back to the crib. Derek and Eli Ricks both had 2. There you have it, folks. NFL records. Let's talk about season records and game records. Start at game, Shador, passing yard leader. Shador with 8 in the game. Shador passes Tom Brady. Peyton Manning a touchdown and receiving yards, rushing yards. Touchdowns AI, passes LaDainian Tomlinson. Receiving yards, Cooper Kupp does his passes himself. Jimmy Horn passes Cooper Kupp with 28. Will Anderson 45, Diaby 41. INTs, Christian Gonzalez with 21, Stingley with 16. All right, talk about your first. See, Coach Prime, what are you talking about out here? Let's go. All right, Coach, you're headed into your first playoff game. Playoff success often makes or breaks a career. How important is your first playoff win? I'm gonna play it cool. Every game is important, and when you're playing a playoff team, you have to bring your best. There are no guarantees when you play teams that are this good. Beat the Chiefs for a staff point reward. Back at Mahomes again. All right. If you playoff bracket. All right. So as we take us through the playoffs, let's go to the NFC side. The Saints lose to the Panthers 35-28. Let's see who the winning quarterback on this side was. The matchup between Miles Brennan and Khalid Williams. And Miles Brennan, they didn't outdo each other. They both played really well. Neither one of them throwing any picks. Only been sacked twice. Both quarterbacks showed out. Looks like what happened here. Jonathan Taylor had 2 rushing touchdowns on the ground. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had scored. Chris Tyree also scored. So they scored 3 rushing touchdowns to their 2. In the receiving game, Chris Olave went off. No touchdowns, but 10 catches. DJ Moore scored twice in this ball game. Antonio Green had a touch, and Zach Coots, the tight end from Old Dominion, also had 51 yards and a touchdown in this game. Detroit loses 21-9 to the Falcons. And the quarterback duel in this game was Daniel Jones, C.J. Stroud, Stetson Benson. Stetson Benson had 332 yards and a touchdown. C.J. Stroud had 259, 3 touchdowns in this ball game. The run game, though, Prince 72 yards, Bijan Robinson 60 yards. Stetson Bennett kicked in. Jacoby Myers had 4 catches for 117 yards, 2 touchdowns in this ball game. Detroit, Tim Patrick had 4 catches, 50 yards and a touchdown. The New York Giants and Justin Herbert wins the game in Meadowlands over the Rams. Quarterback matchups here was Clayton Tune. He had 134 QBR, 228, 2 touchdowns. The quarterbacks all played well in this first round of the playoffs. 225 from Herbert, 2 touchdowns. The problem was they were sacked 7 times in this ball game. Saquon had 96 rushing yards and a touchdown. Kavasi smoked 30 yards, a touchdown. Zach Evans also pushed in for 3.2 yards to carry, but he had a touchdown in this game. The receiving department, looking at Cooper Kupp, no score, probably why they lost. Zay Flowers, 6 for 65. Yeah, Torrey Franklin, 3 for 51. All right, Marshawn Ford, the tight end for the Giants, scored, and Baylor Cup scored for the Rams. They had 7 sacks. We got to go look at these sacks. Josh Allen had 2. Deion Jones had 2. Thibodeau had 2. Jack Campbell had 1. Dante Stills for the Rams and Aaron Donald both kicked in with 1. The Dolphins get blown out by Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's playoff time. If you ever was to sleep on Mahomes and you lost your mind, right? No matter what their record is, playoff times. Mahomes go out there and throw 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Sam Hartman threw 3 picks and had a terrible day. He was sacked 5 times as well. Pacheco and McBride both kicked in for 64 yards, 1 touchdown. Tyreek Hill had 8 for 114 with no touchdowns. Hardman kicked in for 6 catches, 92 yards. He scored a touchdown. Kelsey also had 69 yards and a touchdown. And Emeka Ibuka also had a touchdown in this ball game. So Mahomes threw 3 in the thing. Defensively, though, 15 tackles from Van Der Esch and Bryce Gallagher. They was out there tackling machines. 4 tackles for losses there. In the sack department, 1.5 from Chris Jones. Brian Breezy had 1. Ethan Colbert had a sack. Van Der Esch had a sack. Keon White had a sack. Jeremy Banks had a sack. Jacob Slade had a sack and a half sack from Justin Reed. 1 pick from Nick Bolton. Jalen Catalone had a pick. And Avante Maddox, veteran, kicked in with a pick, moving the Chiefs to the divisional round. Raiders lose to the Colts. And this is the Colts. Tanner McKee, 99 QBR, 288, 2 touchdowns. Tanner Morgan, 230, 2 touchdowns in the INT. McGee was sacked 4 times. Morgan was sacked 3 times. The run game, Josh Jacobs had a touchdown. Ibrahim had a touchdown as well. You're looking at Michael Pittman Jr., 6 catches, 93 yards. A.T. Perry had 5 for 79. Darren Waller scored. Odell Beckham scored. Logan Thomas scored. And Josh Jacobs scored. Colts 30-24. Baltimore over the Patriots 28-25. Both young quarterbacks, DJ Ugalele up against Jaden Daniels. They both had good QBRs. Neither one of them threw interceptions. Jaden threw 3 touchdowns and a losing effort, 3 sacks as well. Ugalele, 2 touchdowns, 1 sack. In the run game, 21 carries from Jahmyr Gibbs, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's pretty much the ball game. Then Blake Corum, 64, 5.8, but not enough to get it done. Ugalele kicked in with 50 yards as well, 3.3 yards a carry. In the receiving department, Mark Andrews scored, Duvernay scored, Michael Thomas scored twice, and Sam Laporta scored as well. All right, so you got the Colts and the Baltimore Ravens matching up big time. Chiefs and the Texans matching up. You got the Falcons and the Giants going to match up in the divisional round, and the Panthers and the Seahawks are going to match up in the divisional round. We got some good ball games on deck right now.